And in 2003, there was certain things that were passed by Congress, certain products that were launched by Congress, I mean by IRS approval. So companies actually, how a lot of people influence to pass new laws, especially the business people after the 2001 crash. At that point of time, they had launched certain things that are not available through mainstream companies. I'll give you an example. Merrill Lynch, you talk about JP Morgan, or you talk about Schwab or Vanguard, or any of the financial institutions. What they market or what services they provide, they were not allowed to market these products that I actually specialize in. So that's why the main population, even in America, 80% of the people have no clue there are certain things that even exist. And that's what's fascinating. Because me, as a chartered accountant, as a finance guy, if I did not know, living here for 28 years, and I knew only a few years before now, that I said, how can I miss this? If I'm in the field, and most people are not in that field, right? So that's what inspired me to get into the financial services side, wherein you actually work. You have to get a license in the insurance industry, but you work on the financial services of the products. So it's a simple license. It's not complicated unless until you want to go full-fledged with the securities one.
Hi, Vishal. Welcome to Narratives of Numbers. It's so exciting to have you in our podcast today. And for our audience, Vishal is a chartered accountant. He has 25 plus years of experience in finance, which is really great and amazing. And Vishal is currently based in Dallas in United States. He's also working as a senior analyst in Macklin. An interesting part about Vishal is that he is a founder of Sarin Financial Services, about which we are going to talk more in our podcast today. Today's podcast, we are going to focus on Vishal's entrepreneurship journey, and we will discuss more about retirement planning. We'll try to learn more and more from Vishal. So that's the plan for today's podcast.
Sure. Thanks, Amrita, for introducing me with such a kind words. Hi, guys. My name is Vishal Sarin. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I've been in Texas for almost 23 years. Been in the US for over 28. Uh, and as Amrita said, that I did my CA. It was actually a long, long time back. Uh, I remember, I was not good in science, not good in arts, so I was good in numbers. So I said, okay, let's try that. And I didn't even know about CA till I finished my high school. Then somebody said, hey, you're good in accounting. Why don't you try that? I said, what is that? What is CA? So, and hey, turned out to be a great journey. Uh, I was not the brightest students in the class, but I knew that I want to make something happen. And it was just by fluke that I got into a company that allowed me to come to the US. Chartered accountants didn't come to US way back. They were not getting sponsorships or none of that, right? So they would either come as a dependent or you come here for a master's like they do now. But at that point of time, it was just pure luck. I never even thought about that I would ever come to the US. But that turned out to be, how they say that fate gets you way, you know, you just have to work hard and leave it on the fate, right? So I came here, I've been here for, enjoyed the journey. But 3 years back, I decided I want to, enough is enough. I want to start my own entrepreneurship. And I think it was more of what I was doing with my daughter. She was growing up and what my friends were doing with their kids. And I could see the contrast of how planning was being done. And I guided a lot of kids as I was guiding my daughter. And I had this thing that we would guide college and students and all that. So we did some voluntary work. But then finally, 3 years back in 2022, I decided I want to get into my own business. I want to start into an area, a small area. I didn't want to go into too much of doing accounting or taxes or anything like that. Just in terms of planning, specifically retirement planning. That is the area I specialize in, and it's been great, and I enjoy it.
Vishal, like we'll deep dive more into your background. Could you tell more about, as I know that you're a licensed financial planner, so how did that happen? Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I I I will talk about luck, but it's actually not luck. It is basically right place at the right time, right? You can call it as a luck, that's fine. But I remember, 3 years back, I was looking to do something and I was wanting to do something in this area. And as a licensed financial planner, there are multiple types of planners. I'll talk about that in a second, but the kind of I am in. So I was talking to a friend of mine whom I knew for about 25 years, and he said that, hey, Vishal, why don't you actually get licensed and start working in this area? Because I see you have helped so many people. Your daughter has done well financially, at that young age. And I said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've been thinking about doing something. So I actually studied it a little bit more. I got the license, local license. We have to get a state license for that. Now, there are two types of licenses. One is more on the Series 7, Series 3, which is you actually work for a brokerage company or something and they'll sponsor you. Okay. So now that means you have to work for them. And I
Mm-hmm.
was not willing. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, but I do not want to take risks. So what I did was I kept my job. I still work full time, as you had mentioned right earlier, for this company. And outside of that, I said, okay, I want to work on something as a side hustle, and then maybe as it takes off, I can think about going full time or expanding or whatever. So I looked at the financial services side of it rather than on the Series 7 on the brokerage side of things, wherein you do stock investments and all that. So as I said, and I don't like to take too much risks and all that. So even with my career, and so same thing with my finances, right? So I wanted to do something where it gives you a little bit more control and saves you from not losing the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the area I went into. So, and then I got a chance to connect with multiple companies. Uh, you know, Typically a planner would be connected to one company. And I didn't want to, and you become kind of, I'm not putting anything down, but you can become kind of like a salesperson also. So I wanted to connect to multiple so that I can really do the best for my clients. See, if I have to give you an option, I should have options, right? If I
Correct.
only have one option, then you actually don't have an option.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the area I went in. I obtained the local license from Texas. Now I've been licensed in 10 states and right now, and it's slowly increasing more and more. So our goal is to be in all 50 states.
Okay, so I just want to understand because this is again new field. I am not at all an investment person, Vishal. So
Mhm.
I may be asking very small questions because I really want my audience to be aware of basic things in case if
Sure.
someone wants to pursue their career. So could you tell is it like every state you need to have take up different exams to practice, or how does that work?
No, so once you finish your education in a particular state, like I'm in Texas, once I got the Texas license, then I just have to apply. I don't have to take an exam. I don't have to study anything extra. I just have to apply for another state where I want to do business. It's like a realtor, right? If you are a realtor in Texas, you cannot sell in Seattle. You have to have a license there to sell because it's a licensed industry, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for us, it is easy and convenient because I use a portal where I just take me 5 minutes to apply, In about 24 to 48 hours, I get the license for that state. The only work has to be done is local. Whatever state you live in, once you obtain the local license to operate there, then you can work in any state after that.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. So watch out, audience. If you want to know more about this profession, you can contact Vishal.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Vishal, could you explain the role of licensed financial planner? Like, if anybody would want to take up that as their career. So, what this role basically involves, if you can explain that in a nutshell.
So, see that, as I said earlier, there are two types of planners, right? One is if you want to get full-fledged, that means you could do securities, you could do index contracts, you could do, estate planning, you could do any of that stuff. Then you have to have multiple licenses. What I did a simple one because I was not willing to go full time into it without leaving my profession, right? So I started part time. So what I'm doing is the financial services side of planning. In that, we have only limited area of planning. Now, if you want to have a bigger, as a licensed financial planner, if you want to get into an area where you want to deal in the securities, then you will have to work for a company and they will sponsor you to do a Series 7 license. Now, what I'm doing is I'm more on the financial services side. And with the, in 2003, there was certain things that were passed by Congress, certain products that were launched by Congress, I mean by IRS approval. So companies actually, how a lot of people influence to pass new laws, especially the business people after the 2001 crash. At that point of time, they had launched certain things that are not available through mainstream companies. I'll give you an example. Merrill Lynch, you talk about JP Morgan or you talk about Schwab or Vanguard, or any of the financial institutions, what they market or what they services they provide, they were not allowed to market these products that I actually specialize in. So that's why the main population, even in America, 80% of the people have no clue there are certain things that even exist. And that's what fascinated me. Because me, as a chartered accountant, as a finance guy, if I did not know living here for 28 years, and I knew only a few years before now, that I said, how can I miss this thing? If I'm in the field, and most people are not in that field, right? So that's what inspired me to get into the financial services side, wherein you actually work. You have to get a license in the insurance industry, but you work on the financial services side of the
Okay.
products. So it's a simple license. It's not complicated unless until you want to go full fledged with the securities one, and
Mhm.
that's a little bit different. I didn't want to do that way because I'm happy in what area. Because I've learned that you should work in an area where the demand is high. People have no clue of how to manage things in certain areas. So that's the area I wanted to work in.
Absolutely, Vishal. And that makes sense. Like, something which where you can connect and you feel like you're passionate, you want to learn more and you can help out audience. And
Mhm.
as you mentioned, you yourself were surprised, like, okay, these things exist in the market and you didn't knew about that. And I'm sure we're gonna talk more about that in our episode today. We're gonna learn more from Vishal about retirement planning